What if the most powerful telescope ever built just found something it wasn't supposed to see? And what if one of the most influential tech minds on Earth suddenly decided to speak out, while the world's biggest space agency stayed completely silent? That's exactly what's happening right now. Just days ago, a cryptic warning began circulating online, linked to a mysterious designation, 3I/Atlas. At first glance, it sounds like just another technical label. Another distant object drifting silently through space. But then something unusual happened. Elon Musk spoke up. Not in detail. Not with a full explanation. Just enough to raise questions. Serious questions. The kind that don't just fade away. The kind that make people stop scrolling and start paying attention. So what is 3I/Atlas? And why does it matter? To understand this, you need to realize something most people overlook. Space isn't empty. It's a vast, dynamic environment filled with objects moving at unimaginable speeds. Asteroids, comets, interstellar visitors, most of them harmless. Most of them predictable. But every once in a while, something appears that doesn't fit the pattern. Something that challenges everything we thought we knew. That's where 3I/Atlas comes in. The name itself tells a story. Atlas is often associated with powerful sky surveys, systems designed to detect incoming objects, especially potential threats. And the 3I? That's where things get interesting. Because I stands for interstellar. That means this object didn't originate from our solar system. It came from somewhere else. Let that sink in. We're not talking about a regular asteroid orbiting the sun. We're talking about something that traveled across the vast emptiness between stars and somehow ended up here. Now here's where things take a strange turn. Normally, discoveries like this are big news. Scientists publish data. Agencies release statements. The media jumps on it. But this time, silence. No major announcement. No detailed breakdown. No clear explanation from NASA. And that silence is exactly what's making people uneasy. Because when information is missing, speculation fills the gap. Is it just another interstellar object like the ones we've seen before? Or is there something different about its speed, its trajectory, its behavior? Why would Elon Musk, someone deeply connected to space technology and exploration, even hint at concern? And perhaps the biggest question of all, what are they not telling us? In the world of space exploration, timing is everything. Objects are tracked, analyzed, predicted. There are protocols. Transparency is usually part of the process. But when something breaks that pattern, it forces us to look closer. Much closer. Because history has shown us that the most important discoveries often start quietly, almost unnoticed, until suddenly they change everything. So as the mystery around 3I/Atlas grows, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just another space story. This is something bigger. Something unfolding in real time. And in the next part, we're going to break it all down, what 3I/Atlas actually is, how objects like this are detected, and why scientists might be far more concerned than they're letting on. What if I told you that scientists can detect an object billions of kilometers away, moving faster than anything bound to our sun? It sounds impossible. But this is exactly how discoveries like 3I/Atlas begin. To understand why this object is causing so much speculation, we first need to break down how space agencies actually detect and track these mysterious visitors. How objects like 3I/Atlas are discovered. 6. Across the world, powerful survey systems scan the sky every single night. One of the most important is the ATLAS, Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, a network of telescopes designed specifically to detect objects that could potentially approach Earth. These systems don't just take pictures. They compare images over time, looking for tiny moving dots against a fixed background of stars. When something moves, especially in an unusual way, it gets flagged instantly. That's how objects like Oumuamua and 2I/Borisov were found. And now, possibly, 3I/Atlas. But here's the key detail that separates normal space objects from something far more mysterious. The trajectory that changes everything. Most objects in our solar system follow predictable paths. They orbit the sun in elliptical patterns, like planets and comets we've tracked for decades. But interstellar objects, they don't orbit. They pass through. Instead of looping around the sun, they follow what scientists call a hyperbolic trajectory, a path that comes from deep space, curves slightly due to the sun's gravity, and then shoots back out again, never to return. That alone makes them incredibly rare. But here's where things get even more interesting. Why 3I/Atlas might be different. With Oumuamua, scientists were confused by its shape and strange acceleration. With Borisov, they observed a more typical comet-like behavior. But early whispers around 3I/Atlas suggest something unusual. Its speed may be higher than expected, its approach angle could be steeper than typical interstellar entries, and most importantly, its behavior might not fully match known patterns. Now, let's be clear, none of this has been officially confirmed. And that's exactly the problem. Because when data is limited, uncertainty grows. So why the silence? Normally, when something like this is detected, agencies like NASA release orbital data, brightness measurements, and ongoing updates. But in this case, information is either extremely limited or not being widely shared yet. There are a few possible reasons for this. The object is still being verified and analyzed, data may be inconclusive or conflicting, or the object's properties are not easily explainable. And that last possibility is what's capturing attention. Because when scientists can't quickly classify something, they slow down. They double-check. They avoid making premature statements. But at the same time, people notice the delay. Why Elon Musk's reaction matters. This is where things become even more intriguing. When someone like Elon Musk reacts, even subtly, it carries weight. Why? Because he's not just a tech entrepreneur. He's deeply involved in space technology through SpaceX. He has access to insights, engineers, and data pipelines that most people don't. So if he's even slightly concerned, or curious enough to comment, it raises a powerful question. What is he seeing that we're not? The bigger picture. At the end of the day, objects like 3I/Atlas remind us of something important. We are not isolated. Our solar system is part of a much larger cosmic environment, where objects can travel between stars, carrying secrets from places we may never reach. And every time one of these visitors appears, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to learn. An opportunity to discover. Or possibly, an opportunity to realize that we don't understand as much as we thought we did. And in the next part, we're going even deeper, into the latest discoveries, hidden data, and the theories that scientists are quietly discussing behind the scenes. Because this story, it's just getting started. What if the most important detail about 3I/Atlas isn't what's being said, but what's being left out? Because in space science, silence is rarely accidental. When objects like this are detected, data usually flows fast. Orbital paths, speed calculations, brightness levels, composition estimates. It's a global effort. Observatories around the world collaborate, cross-check, and publish findings almost in real time. But with 3I/Atlas, something feels different. The data gap that's raising eyebrows. 8. Early tracking data, what little has circulated, suggests an object moving on a path that doesn't neatly align with previous interstellar visitors. Now, that alone isn't shocking. Every interstellar object is unique. But here's where things start to stand out. Some analysts believe its acceleration profile may not match typical comet outgassing. Others point to inconsistent brightness patterns, hinting it may not be a simple icy body, and a few have even raised questions about whether its rotation or structure is irregular. Again, none of this is officially confirmed. But these are the kinds of anomalies that scientists quietly pay attention to. Because when multiple small irregularities stack together, they form a bigger question. Are we looking at something we've never seen before? Comparisons that don't quite fit. To understand why this matters, let's go back to the two known interstellar visitors. Oumuamua puzzled scientists with its strange shape and unexpected acceleration. 2I/Borisov behaved more like a typical comet, giving researchers a baseline. These two objects helped create a framework, a way to categorize future interstellar discoveries. But what if 3I/Atlas doesn't fit either category? That's where things get uncomfortable. Because science relies on patterns. And when patterns break, it forces new theories. Theories circulating behind the scenes. Let's be clear, most scientists remain cautious. There's no official claim that 3I/Atlas is anything extraordinary beyond a natural object. But that hasn't stopped speculation from building in the background. Some of the quieter discussions include an unusually dense or metallic composition, which could explain irregular reflections, a fragment from a distant planetary system, ejected during a violent cosmic event, or in more fringe discussions, the possibility of non-natural origins. Now, that last idea is extremely controversial, and there's no solid evidence to support it. But here's the key point. The fact that such theories are even being mentioned tells you how unusual this object might be. Why agencies might stay quiet. Organizations like NASA operate under a careful balance, informing the public while avoiding unnecessary panic or misinformation. If an object is not fully understood, still being analyzed, or producing conflicting data, then staying quiet, at least temporarily, is often the safest move. Because once information goes public, it spreads fast. And if that information turns out to be wrong, the consequences can damage credibility on a global scale. The role of private space intelligence. This brings us back to Elon Musk. Unlike traditional agencies, private companies like SpaceX operate with a different kind of flexibility. They collaborate. They observe. They innovate rapidly. And sometimes, they see things from a different angle. If Musk has access to early interpretations, internal discussions, or independent observations, his reaction, even a subtle one, could reflect a deeper level of curiosity or concern. The real question. At this point, the mystery isn't just about 3I/Atlas itself. It's about the gap between what's known and what's being shared. Because in the age of instant information, silence stands out louder than any headline. So now the question shifts. Is this just a normal scientific delay? Or are we witnessing the early stages of a discovery that could reshape how we understand objects entering our solar system? And if that's the case, what happens next? In the final part, we'll explore the possible future scenarios, what 3I/Atlas could mean for Earth, for science, and for humanity's place in the universe. Because the answer might be far bigger than anyone expects. What if 3I/Atlas isn't just another passing object, but the beginning of a completely new chapter in human understanding? Because every time something enters our solar system from deep space, it carries more than just rock, ice, or dust. It carries information, a message from another star system, billions of kilometers away. And if the early signals around 3I/Atlas are even partially accurate, the implications could be massive. Scenario 1. A rare, but natural, interstellar visitor. Let's start with the most grounded possibility. 3I/Atlas could simply be a rare interstellar object with unusual characteristics. Maybe it's denser. Maybe it formed under extreme conditions in another solar system. Maybe it was ejected during a violent planetary collision far beyond our galaxy's familiar regions. If that's the case, scientists could gain something incredibly valuable. Direct insight into how other star systems form, evidence of materials we've never studied before, clues about cosmic events happening light years away. Just like Oumuamua and 2I/Borisov, this object could expand our knowledge in ways we can't fully predict yet. But what if it's not that simple? Scenario 2. Something that challenges known physics. What if its speed, motion, or structure doesn't follow the rules we expect? That would force scientists, and organizations like NASA, to rethink existing models. Because even a small inconsistency can trigger massive breakthroughs. Think about it. New physics, new models of motion, new understanding of how objects behave in deep space. History shows that the biggest discoveries often come from anomalies, things that don't make sense at first. And if 3I/Atlas falls into that category, we could be looking at a moment that scientists talk about for decades. Scenario 3. The possibility no one wants to confirm. Now we enter more speculative territory. And it's important to stay grounded here. There is no confirmed evidence that 3I/Atlas is anything artificial or non-natural. But the reason this idea keeps appearing in discussions is simple. Because we've already seen one object, Oumuamua, that sparked similar debates. Some scientists even suggested it could be something engineered, though that idea remains highly controversial. So if 3I/Atlas shows even more unusual characteristics, You can imagine why the internet, and even some researchers, start asking bigger questions. Not because they have answers, but because the unknown invites curiosity. Why this moment matters more than ever. Here's the reality most people don't realize. We are living in the first era in human history where we can actually detect interstellar visitors in real time. Systems like ATLAS, Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, are constantly scanning the sky, improving every year. Private companies like SpaceX are pushing the boundaries of space exploration. And individuals like Elon Musk are bridging the gap between public curiosity and cutting-edge science. This combination means one thing. We're going to see more objects like this. And each one could bring us closer to answering some of humanity's biggest questions. The final takeaway. So what is 3I/Atlas really? Right now, it's a mystery. It could be a natural object with rare properties. It could challenge existing scientific models. Or it could simply be misunderstood, at least for now. But the most important thing isn't what we know. It's what we're about to learn. Because somewhere out there, beyond our solar system, countless objects are drifting through the darkness. And every once in a while, one of them finds its way to us. The real question is, are we ready for what it might reveal?